So if you think about this kind of cascading series of events, you have Hurricane Katrina that happened, then you have this upgrade to the levee system that sort of creates this scenario where we think that we're protected in a certain way that we may or may not be protected. And then we have these rain events that are coming that are flooding areas of the city that don't flood regularly or haven't flooded before. And there are actually communities and homes in the path of the water that comes out of the spillway. So when the Morganza is open, there are people who are actually at risk of their houses being inundated. It's really, again, about this kind of sacrificing some areas for others.
I've been reading a book by Rachel Carson called The Sea Around Us, and she describes sedimentation processes as a great poem of the earth. And so there was this sense in which I was beginning to kind of think about sedimentation as a planetary process, but a process that was tied up with human history at the same time.
I think the levee system over here shouldn't have been here. That way the silt would have got on that soft mud out there and would have built it up. You know, it should have passed through us like it was supposed to with the levee systems, trapped it. That's why it's where we at right here.
With the water and sediment changing all the time, how do you figure out where you should go fish then?
That's all knowledge in your head. To explain it, it'd be hard. Now, if I'd be fishing and y'all'd be right here, I could tell y'all why I'm doing it.
This is real water world here in Pierre Park. You're surrounded by water on all ends and all sides, all the time. And now we're sort of in this corridor moving down into plantation country. Some of the older industry created here, which is sugarcane. And ironically, this is exactly where and why they put the chemical plants here. The people who are taking the brunt of the damage from it, or for the most part, are all the descendants of enslaved Africans.
And we're going to visit the Laura plantation. It was a forced labor camp. It's hard to have a conversation about the relationship between people and the river and the context of the Anthropocene without talking about the labor of people along the river and how that culturally weaves into some of the other themes that we're talking about.
This is Laura, the Creole plantation. This is a fully guided tour, so you're going to need to stick with me throughout the entire tour, of course. We just ask that you please put your phones on silent and no audio or video recording. But by all means, of course, take as many photos as you'd like throughout the tour. So all of the brick structures that make up the house.
What the Mississippi River is really famous for is the fact that it was a transportation route for people to be able to navigate the river, to bring in goods, ship out goods. But it was mostly the human labor that was brought in here that that really made it all possible. All of my family were a part of enslavement in this way. Those cabins that we were looking at, I had relatives when I was growing up that were in cabins half that size. My parents were both sharecroppers. My father's father, my grandfather, was a body servant in the Civil War with his father, who was the plantation owner. And he was freed when he was going on 16 years old. So, all these things are very real.